Perfect. So, obviously there is a lot of stuff going on right now in the league. You're a young and up and coming player, so you might not have the voice of a LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Chris Paul, but all of you guys collectively are a collective unit. You collectively bargain. The players today for the Milwaukee Bucks, after talk with, between the Raptors and Celtics about boycotting the game that's supposed to take place on Thursday. The Bucks decided to boycott the game. The Magic left the game, and then pretty much, as it stands currently, all of the games have been canceled for the day. And the players that are remaining in the bubble will meet at 8 o'clock tonight to kind of talk about what's going on. And all of this was sparked because of the Jacob Blake shooting, which also is just kind of another name and hashtag in the long line of hashtags that we get when you're an African American and you see another unarmed African American or even an armed African American man murdered at the hands of the police. What are your thoughts, as kind of about everything that's been going on? And obviously, you were in the bubble. How did it feel to kind of be shut off from the real world while kind of everything else is still continuing to happen?
And also, one more thing, if I could also, I want to know also if you had any reservations about even coming down to Orlando in general.
Well, for me personally, like just taking the stand on what's going on and having that voice, I'm more than okay with what they're doing. At the end of the day, it has to be bigger than basketball at some point. Like just in general, like everything going on. A lot of people were upset with going down to Orlando in the first place just because of the fact that we wouldn't have that freedom to protest or to be out physically. But at the end of the day, that's our job and that's what we have to do. But I don't mind the protest at all, especially just from my sense and how strongly I feel about it, So yeah.
Yeah, Kenna, what were your initial reactions when, if you saw the George Floyd tape? I know there are some people who have elected not to see it because of, kind of the viciousness of it.
Right.
But what were your reactions when all of that stuff was happening, kind of as the talks were, heating up to come back? I was a personal person that was kind of saying that you all should have boycotted before the season. And it wasn't that I was, that I painted any of you guys out to be selfish, because I actually made it a point to not call any of you all selfish, but I just essentially believe that this would happen again, and then we would essentially be at this place that we are in now. Kind of what were your initial reactions when that happened with George Floyd, and kind of, and when you all did get the call back, how did you feel about it?
Well, just starting with the George Floyd thing, it's hard because you're stuck in a bind, because it's like, okay, if I go, then I have a platform to use and express, because the whole world's watching. The whole world is going to be watching NBA. We're one of the first sports to start back up. So it's like, it kind of takes you back to a sense where you're like, okay, well, if I don't go, I'm still able to help. But if I do go, it gives me a bigger platform to express how I feel about the situation and just use that platform on a higher note. And so I could definitely understand both sides of it. Everybody's trying to figure out the right way to go about it. And like I said, I applaud the teams that are still down there that are boycotting it. Not saying that, they shouldn't play at all, but just in general to take a stand on it and actually like do something about it, instead of, because a lot of us, like, we try to use our platforms and stuff like that. But like you said, being in the bubble is hard, like, because you're not able to actually physically be out there and be a representation of the Black community.
Yeah, and even well, actually, Pavi, I'll let you go ahead and follow.
Yeah, and you're young, like you're 21 years old. So I mean, just thinking back when the Trayvon case happened, I think I was 21, like your age. It's like you growing up and just seeing, after video after video after video after video after video, and just getting to this point. I mean, yeah, like just how was that? Like how mentally, how is that for you? Like, I mean, obviously,
we're not 21 anymore.
I'm
30 now.
Like,
and he's below 30.
I didn't grow. I mean, obviously, my parents are from the South, so I always knew that these things happen. Obviously, like everybody knows it, but it's different, seeing it on video and growing up seeing it on video. Like, again, I was an adult. Like, I was an adult during this period. But just how has that been for you mentally, just over the years, seeing it time after time after time?
Honestly, I mean, I would say it's just shocking. Like, it really like blows my mind that like we are at where we are today and stuff like this is still happening. And just the fact that people think that we're belligerent and like arrogant for asking for the same amount of respect kind of shows you where we are. And so for me, like, when I was younger, when the Trayvon thing happened, that was like at the first time in my life where I was like, that could have been you. Like, like you kind of like put yourself in those shoes. Like, all he was doing was walking home, and that happens, like, you know. And so it sucks. Like, it just sucks in the world we live in. And so all we can do is, for the people that have the voices, is try to speak up and just use your platform, because I feel like if you don't say anything, you might as well just be sitting back and letting it happen, you know. And so for me personally, I've been trying to use my platform and just do stuff here and there and voice my opinions on it, because it's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and I have a follow up, not necessarily a follow up, but you said something in terms of, kind of people not looking at us as black people with kind of needing the same level of respect. We've heard a lot of people tell you all to shut up and dribble, or just shut up in general. So how do you feel about that entire shut up and dribble thing? And also, I've been a person that said, Pappy and I have had many heated arguments about sports returning and things of that sort, yelling and screaming at each other, obviously about, kind of a common, discourse. But when we were talking to each other, a lot of the conversation kind of stemmed from, well, you and I have a platform and we aren't professional athletes. So why is it that we can have a platform and we not be professional athletes, but we feel as though professional athletes should just shut up and dribble? How do you feel about that?
I mean, for me personally, I don't like, I kind of go about it like LeBron, I feel like, set a good example with that. Like, just kind of taking that and running with it and kind of making it a slogan. And like, because at the end of the day, it's one of those things where it's like, if you fight back, you lose. But in the same way, if you don't say anything, you lose too. And so just being the bigger person about it, but still making it known and, putting it out there, that's not okay. Like, because for me, at the end of the day, I'm a person just like you are. The amount of money that I make doesn't have anything to do with the amount of respect that I should get towards anybody else. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. So, thank you for being as candid and as open as you were, kind of speaking about that. I know that it's like a hotbed issue, and like we don't necessarily get in the business of sensationalism, but I believe in having conversations that need to be had. And if we can have these conversations, I feel like they need to be had. And honestly, you're a 21-year-old, and that's the thing that I've been telling a lot of the younger people that we encounter that follow us. I've been, I've been preaching entrepreneurship and being an entrepreneur and owning your own business and owning your own stuff and trying to develop your own companies, and talking to a lot of the youth that follow us about not trying to go out and follow the paths that have been set before, because systematically we are still being held at a disadvantage. And then on top of that, we essentially have to deal with us being systematically killed as well. So, all of those issues are things that really matter, especially to people like us, because, we love this platform. But at the end of the day, when we turn off these cameras, these webcams, we just go back to being, Jonathan and Thomas, and not who we are on these cameras. So, nobody else cares about that. So I'm glad that, that you all are being as proactive as a league as you are. And although I was critical of everybody coming back at first, I genuinely applaud all of you all for the job that you've done. Go ahead.
And I would like to say that just me as an African American, but I'm, like I said, I'm almost 30 years old now. A lot of guys in the league are young, and going back to what I said, about just growing up and just seeing these things, every single day. And I actually was a component of you guys going down there to play, because I was just thinking about maybe the conversations that maybe, it could make somebody have that they don't want to have. And I actually think, if the players do decide, to not continue with the season, I think that's a huge message. And I think that is the best possible way to use your platform. Like, obviously you went down there, people woke up today and were excited to see the Lakers, possibly advance. People woke up today and now they don't get to see that. And now they have to, maybe somebody has to explain to their son, like, okay, well, this isn't happening. Then their son asked their dad, well, why is this not happening? We don't know what type of conversations, that you guys can drive. So I just want to say, like, I want to commend you guys for the stance that you've taken and for the things that you've done in the boat, because I know it's not easy. You're down, you're locked in, Orlando. There is still a whole pandemic going on.
Right.
It's not like that isn't the case as well. You're locked there. You're away from your family. So I wanted to say that I appreciate the stance you've taken and the work that you all have put in day after day.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So we'll wrap that up, and let's go ahead and let's actually